Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked up this week. So I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have a Taccia, and this is the Miyabi Winter's Breath. We have a Pilot Custom Urushi in the Vermilion. We have a vintage Parker Vacumatic Major in the laminated grey. We have a Montegrappa Bartolomeo Ferracina in the shiny circles. We have an Armando Simone Club Chatterley Wild West. We have a Visconti Blue Ripple. We have a Wahl Eversharp Decoband Oversize in the Jade. We have a black Robin Pens Iago in the Silver Dust. We have a Santini Libra in the Laurel. And we have a TWSBI Vac 700R in the Iris. So let's take a look at these pens in a little bit more detail here. So we have the beautiful, stunning, this is a Taccia Miyabi Winter's Breath. And I had this inked up last week. This is my birthday pen, and I decided that I would buy this pen. The story has it that I wanted the original Winter's Breath, which was more of a sort of a rectangular pen like the Santini. But I left it far too long and it sold out everywhere. And I'm really glad that Taccia have, because it was a really popular pen, decided to bring it back in the cigar version of the Miyabi. So I'm really, really glad about that. You can see here it's got cracked quail's eggs and strips of Radon or abalone shell here. It really is a stunning pen, and I decided that I would have to make this my birthday pen for 2021. This has a number 6 size nib. It is a Taccia nib. It's actually made by Sailor. It's a number 6 size 18 karat gold nib. Unfortunately, you can't get any nibs that are larger than number 6 for Taccia, at least not at the moment. And you can only get them in 18 karat gold, not 21 karat gold like the Sailor ones. So I'm hoping that that will change in the future, but for the time being you have to get a smaller number 6 size nib, which it looks a little bit out of place with this pen, but I love the pen. It's a beautiful pen, so that doesn't bother me in any way. So I have that one inked up this week. I also have the Pilot Custom Urushi in the Vermilion, and sometimes a pen isn't really destined for your collection, and sometimes it is. And this one was clearly destined for my collection. This was a pen that Anthony, UK Fountain Pens, he had this pen, he bought it, and he just didn't like it, didn't use it, and he sold it. And I was about to buy it, and then my friend Gary bought it. And then he didn't like it, and then it came to me, and I'm glad that it did, because I do like this pen a lot. It's a big pen, it's a hefty pen. It has a massive nib on it as well, and I like my big nibs. So for that, it's really beautiful. Now this is a fine medium nib on here. It's an 18 karat gold nib. It's a cartridge converter, but this really does feel nice in the size of my hand. I can post it as well. It's a little bit back weighted, and you know me, I don't normally post my pens here, but I find that this is a really, really nice pen to write with a little bit of bounce as well. So for me, this is a pen that I like writing with. I like writing with pens that have big nibs and are wet and have a bounce to the nib. Now, there's something just a little bit out of place here, and I probably need to explain why. The next pen, it's a small pen, and I don't normally do small pens, and it's a vintage pen, and I definitely don't do vintage pens. At least some of my pens may be getting towards being classified as vintage now, but this is a pen from the I think it's 1950s. Yeah, 53. So this is a Parker Vacumatic. It's really lovely. It's got that stacked celluloid material. Parker called it the laminated grey. You can see it has the Parker clip there, and you can see that stacked celluloid, and it really is a beautiful stacked celluloid. You just see that there. Now, it has a 14 karat gold Parker nib there. Let's see if I can get it in focus. There you go. And it's a broad nib. Now, I love how this writes. Now, it is the old style, sort of pneumatic style. It's got a diaphragm in here, so it's you push the button down and it creates a vacuum. And if I can try and get this back screwed back on there, there you go. I don't want to eject ink out everywhere. This is a small pen. It is a thin pen. You can post the cap if you want to as well. That actually makes it a little bit more usable for me, although I can write with it like this, but it is a little bit, for me, on the small side, a little bit on the thin side as well, so I tend to hold it up a little bit more around the threads or the barrel or the body here. I don't do vintage, but I decided I would dabble and I would try and get a vintage pen. There were a couple of Parker Vacumatics. One I bid on, which was this, and I won. And then there was another one in the azure blue, and I bought that one. And I thought I would just try just a couple of Parker Vacumatics and see how I got on with them. I'm not looking to go deep into the vintage era of pens. I do prefer modern pens. I do prefer much larger pens. So, but I decided I like the stacked celluloid, so I would get one of these. And I think for like I think that's 1950, that one. I got another one which is around about 1946 as well. So this one's 1953. So that's quite an old pen. So yeah, I like it. It works. The diaphragm was replaced recently, as I understand it, from the seller on eBay, and I got it for a good price. So I think that's really all there is to it. I like the pen. The next pen I have inked up is this one, and it's massive compared to the Parker Vacumatic. This is the Montegrappa, and it's a Bartolomeo Ferracina in shiny circles. And yes, it does have a clock there on the cap finial. It's made of silver as well, so it is quite a heavy pen. But you have this beautiful celluloid there that you can just see just comes to life. And I do like the stacked celluloids. I am a sucker for stacked celluloids. Now, it has a number 8 size Montegrappa nib, and you can see the feed there. It's quite a narrow feed, but this is a really, for me, a really comfortable pen. I like the shape. I typically find that this bulbous area here is actually very comfortable in the hand. So, and I think it adds a little bit more weight down to the base of the pen. You don't want a pen to be back weighted. You can post the cap, but you don't want to, because it's got a lot of silver on, and that is going to be quite weighty. So I have this one inked up with me this week as well, and it's just a stunning pen. So I'm glad that I eventually did pick that pen up and add it to my collection. And another pen that I had inked up, I think last week, was this one. This is the Armando Simone Club, and it's a Chatterley, and it is the Wild West. And this is a really beautiful stacked resin that is actually sliced like this to give it this kind of effect. It's a beautiful blue and red pen, and I love it. I really do love this a lot. So this is inked up, and it's got an 18 karat gold Magic Flex nib there. Number 8 size nib again. I like large pens, and I like large nibs, and I cannot lie. I do like them. So That one is also inked up this week as well. And another one that I had, a few of these I've had inked up last week. We've got the Visconti Blue Ripple here. And I picked this up from a seller in Australia. And if you don't know, there is a guy. He's not on eBay all year round. He goes away for 2 or 3 months at a time. His name is Rosmenko on eBay. And he is the Australian distributor for Visconti, if you don't know. And he has some really good Viscontis, and he has them at some really good prices. I eventually decided to pick this one up. I will blame my friend Tony Rostici for this, because this was a pen that I always had on my wish list, and I told him numerous dozens of times that I would buy, and then he went and bought it. And he then tried to convince me, and did convince me to buy this pen, and I'm really glad I did. It's got the old style Visconti 18 karat gold nib on it. It's got a medium nib. It's similar to the Visconti watermark, but it's got this white cracked ice underlay, and you then got this sort of blue overlay, this like metallic blue. And again, it's just a beautiful pen, and it's quite weighty as well. Weightier than some pens in my collection. It's not a heavyweight pen. But it's certainly not a lightweight pen. So I have that one inked up again this week. And then another one is the Wahl Eversharp, and this is a Decoband. It's the Oversize in a Jade, and this is a resin material. It's not celluloid, but you can see here this material really is quite stunning. So again, I'm glad I picked this one up. I picked this up from Brian at Chatterley, and this has a number 8 size, 18 karat gold nib. It's a Wahl Eversharp there, and it's just a really beautiful of a pen. You can, if you want to, you can post these caps, but you don't want to. It just makes it way too long, because these are long. These are oversized pens. I like long pens, but not long that when you post the cap it's that long. So I can see why people, certainly back in like the 1940s, 1950s, like these small pens, because they fit in a pocket really easily. And by the time you post the cap on the Parker Vacumatic, it actually makes it a lot longer. So it's actually quite usable. But I still prefer these larger pens in general. The next pen here is the beautiful Black Robin pens. This is I call it the Iago. It's actually, I think, pronounced Iago. And this is the Silver Stardust. And you might think that this is actually made of a diamond dust material. It's not. It's actually a clear resin called acrylite. And acrylite? I think it's acrylite. Something like that anyway. But it's infused with some glitter. So it is a see-through cap, and you may be able to see that there with my finger passing through. It's a beautiful pen. I like it a lot. It's the right size. It's a cartridge converter, has a steel nib, number 6 size Yovo nib. I've got a medium nib on here. I like the pen. And I just inked my little finger there with the nib. I like this a lot. I like the material. It's really glittery. And I know this isn't everybody's sort of cup of tea. It's not everybody's pen. But every now and again, you've got to have a little bit of glitter in your life. And for me, that's this pen. So I'm really glad that I was able to pick this up from Meg at Black Robin Pens. And the next pen here I have inked up is the Santini Libra in the Laurel. I did have this inked up last week, but I am trying to run this one dry. It's a piston filling pen. It holds around about a milliliter, just over a milliliter of ink. Has a lovely 18 karat gold fine nib there, and it's what Santini call the Flexi nib. It's a beautiful writing pen. You do notice it's got a little bit of a curvature down on the tip of the tines there. And that just because it's a fine nib, it does need that little bit sort of a curvature, because it is a flexi nib. But it does write very well. You can, I guess you can post these caps as well for anybody that does want to try posting. I like the design of this, I really do, and I think that for the price point, what you get here on these Santini Libras, you get a nice resin, you get gold trims, proper gold trims, you get a 18 karat gold nib as well, with a flexi nib for no extra cost over a regular nib, because they are all 18 karat gold in-house Santini nibs. So for me, that is a win-win on terms of price. I don't think you can get a pen for any better price when you're looking for an 18 karat gold or a gold nib. And then the last pen I have inked up this week is a TWSBI Vac 700R. And I know what you're going to say. Aha, if you watched my video last week, I had this one inked up. Aha, well, I didn't actually. I had another TWSBI Vac 700R inked up, and I had I had Diamond Mistletoe in it. This is a different one. I've got 5 of these. 5. Yes, 5. This one is inked up with a purple ink, or a purplish ink, or a purplicious ink, perhaps. So this is the Vac 700R. So I think this ink actually matches the trims quite nicely. Now this is a medium nib on this one. One I had last week was a broad nib. This is a medium nib. But I like these TWSBIs, and I like the Vac 700Rs. I like the ink capacity. I like that they are Vac filling pens. I like that these have a number 6 size nib, whereas a TWSBI Diamond 580 has about a 5 or a 5.5 size nib. I just like everything about these pens. So when TWSBI brought out the Vac 700R in the Iris, I just had to get 5 of them. Yes, I don't need 5, but I did get 5. So I have that one inked up with me this week as well. So I think with that, let's go and do a writing sample. So the first pen is the Taccia Miyabi Winter's Breath. So we'll do an ink swatch, and you'll see here that this is quite a wet writing nib. So this is the Taccia Miyabi Winter's Breath. And it is a broad, and it is an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Pelican, Edelstein, Topaz. Now, if you think I should ink now with a different ink, then do let me know in the comments below. I'm still thinking of a green ink, looking at that Raden. So do let me know if there's an ink colour that you think I should ink it up with. The next pen is the Pilot Custom Urushi in the Vermilion. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is a fine nib. I say fine, it's actually classified by Pilot as a fine medium. Now, it's an Asian nib, so typically a medium in Asian would be a fine. So this is really more of a fine medium would be an extra fine to a fine. So this is the Pilot Custom Urushi in the Vermilion. And it is a fine medium, and it's an 18 karat, just looking at 18 karat gold nib. I always think that Sailor nibs are 21 karat gold, and maybe Pilot have snuck a 21 karat gold in, but no, they stick to 18 karat gold. And then the ink in here is Mont Blanc, and it's Corn Poppy Red, which is a beautiful red ink that I like using. The next pen is this very small pen, and it's the vintage Parker Vacumatic. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now this is a very wet nib, and I do like how this pen writes. I was tempted to put another colour ink in here, but I didn't really want to actually sort of stain the celluloid, so I left it as that, as a black ink. So it's a Parker Vacumatic, and it's the, if I get this right, it's a major, which is the second largest actually, which compared to the size of this pen is actually quite small. So it's a major, and it's the laminated grey. And this is a broad, and it's a 14 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Waterman, and it's intense black, which for me is a really good black ink. The next pen here is the Montegrappa Bartolomeo Ferracina. So we'll do an ink swatch. So this is a medium nib. I do tend to find that this ink can be a little bit on the dry side, sometimes diamine. So this is a Montegrappa, and it's the Bartolomeo, and it's the Ferracina, and I'm going to try and spell that right. It's not a H, and it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey, which is a really lovely grey ink. The next pen is the Armando Semeni Club Chatterley Wild West. So we'll do an ink swatch. And you can just see here that this is a very wet writing nib. So this is the ASC, and it's the Chatterley, and it's the Wild West. And this is a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Poppy Red. Now this ink can feather sometimes when it's either freshly inked or it's a broad nib. So we'll see if this one will feather this time. The next pen inked up is the Visconti Blue Ripple. We'll do an ink swatch here. And you can see here it's quite a wet nib. So this is the Visconti Blue Ripple, and it is a medium 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Imperial Blue, which is a nice darker blue ink. The next pen here is the Wahl Eversharp Decoband Oversize in the Jade. So we'll do an ink swatch. And you can just see here that this is a wet writing nib. So this is a Wahl Eversharp Decoband Oversize in the Jade, and it is a medium, and it is an 18 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine, and it's Aqua Lagoon. That really should be an L, not an I. Looks a little bit more like an I to me. The next pen is the Black Robin Pens Iago. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now this is a medium nib pen, and I've not done anything to this nib. I think when I run out of ink in this, I'm probably just going to put a non-shimmer ink in it, and I'm probably just going to frost the tines a bit just to open them out, make it a little bit wetter, maybe smooth the nib a little bit. Yeah, it's just a stock Yovo nib, but I do find the medium nibs a little bit more coarse. So that's probably something I'm going to do soon. So this is a Black Robin Pens Iago. It's a Silver Stardust. Can I get that in? Yeah, probably. Silver Stardust. It's a medium still nib. It's a Yovo nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine, Shimmertastic, and it's Moondust. And I think that this pen does have a lot of feedback to it, or this nib. And I think it's because I've got shimmer in there. So I've got sort of silver glitter particles, and that's sort of making it feel a little bit sort of feedbacky to me. So I want to ink that up with maybe Diamine Earl Grey, give that a try. And if it still has a bit of feedback, I might smooth that nib out a little bit. The next pen is the Santini Libra in the Laurel. So we'll do an ink swatch. And you can see here that this is a very, very fine writing nib. So this is the Santini Libra in the Laurel. And it is a fine, and it's an 18 cat gold nib. The ink in here is Diamine Meadow. Now this is a flexi nib, so I can just do this, and you can see the different line variation that I'm getting out of that flexi nib. And then the last pen I have inked up is the TWSBI Vac 700R in the Iris. And we'll do an ink swatch. And you'll see that this is a little bit more of a wetter nib. I've re-inked this one up, and that's why it's just dropped a huge amount of ink there. So that is probably going to feather, I would think. Let me dab that nib off a bit. So this is a TWSBI Vac 700R in the Iris. It's a medium, and it's a steel nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine, and it's Violet. So I think let's take a look at these inks and pens one more time. So we have a Taccia Miyabi Winter's Breath in a broad 18 karat gold nib inked up with Pelican Edelstein Topaz. We have a Pilot Custom Urushi Vermilion with a fine medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red. We have a Parker Vacumatic in the Major Laminated Grey in a broad 14 karat gold nib inked up with Waterman Intense Black. We have a Montegrappa Bartolomeo Ferracina in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have an Armando Simone Club Chatterley exclusive. This is the Wild West. It's a Bologna extra pen in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Poppy Red, which did actually look as though it behaved itself this time. We have a Visconti Blue Ripple in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Imperial Blue. We have a Wahl Eversharp Decoband Oversize in the Jade in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Aqua Lagoon. We have a black Robin Pens Iago Silver Stardust in a medium steel nib inked up with Diamine Shimmertastic Moon Dust. We have a Santini Libra in the Laurel in a fine 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Meadow. And then we have a TWSBI Vac 700R Iris in a medium steel nib inked up with Diamine Violet. So there you have it. That's my currently inked pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.